that Ryff is using their in-scene advertising, and how is it differing from just traditional advertising methods? Because there's something really interesting kind of with that in-scene advertising. And also, what unique advantages is it offering to brands?
Yeah, a couple different questions in there.
Yeah.
It kind of picks up right where Ashwin was,
I think so, yeah.
was talking about, in that we can take the contextualization that's out there about a title and really understand what's going on in the scene. And from that point, you can insert a brand, whether that be an actual physical object, like putting a laptop computer on a desk digitally, or putting a brand, maybe a billboard on a side of a building, that type of thing. But we can create this new inventory where it wasn't there before. And so as you see the streamers reducing the ad load, what used to be, 18 minutes on linear, now it's down to 4 minutes on the streaming platforms. As advertisers are losing that inventory, we have the ability to kind of give you more, and it's more contextual because it's actually in scene. The viewers can't, walk away and do something on their phone while the mid-roll is running. This time they're actually going to see it. So it's a combination of more contextual and more visible to the viewer.
You're working really hard just to reduce ad fatigue,
Yep.
right? So how is this approach ensuring that the viewer experience is more relevant and it's less intrusive?
Yeah, so we do a number of things. When we sign agreements with publishers, whether they be a big Hollywood studio or a social media influencer, et cetera. And they give us, we do this not on live feeds today, but they give us their content ahead of time, we scan it, and our AI identifies the locations that'll work. And then we come back and give that to them and say, hey, do you agree with this? So this could be, we've worked with, A-list showrunners in Hollywood, and they'll say, great, this is perfect. Now I can make the decision about where a brand can fit really well with my story. And it's not something that they feel is just being thrown in there. So it allows you to integrate your product in a matter of hours or days before it's going to be seen, versus the traditional physical product placement where you have to make those decisions a year ahead of time before it goes into production.
Can you just take us through the automated brand integration process there at Ryff?
Yep.
And how it ensures non-intrusive, seamless, placement of brands?
Yeah. So it's kind of two parallel tracks, right? We sign a licensing agreement with a content provider or a network or whomever. We scan the content with our AI, find all the locations, they do those approvals. At the same time, we have the sales side of businesses saying, I got this new title coming in. We'll find X number of placements for you. This is all the information that the producer is giving us about what it's going to be. Once we finally get it, we can give you more specifics around the trust and safety and the contextuality. We'll know all of the violence and sexuality, the cuss words and everything, what scenes that they're in, how far apart they'll be from your placements, what's happening in the scene when it's being targeted. So it can be really powerful for the brand to do this integration in near real time. And then that's, like I said, it's all being done AI, so this can all be done relatively quickly. It'll actually be done faster than it takes you to create your creative. That's usually the long pole, is getting the creative in from the advertiser. And then we hand that off, and currently we hand that off back to the platform that's going to stream it. But in the near future, we'll have that even automated so that it can be handed off in a near real-time environment.
Are there any specific brand integration examples that you can give us as it relates to the in-scene advertising?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple that come to mind. We're in the process of selling our holiday packages. So just for this coming Christmas, for the last year, we had Bailey's, the alcohol brand, come to us, and they had a whole campaign around holiday cheer they wanted to do. And so we put Bailey's bottles on tables during people having Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners. We put it in a number of different situations that made Bailey's associated with holiday cheer. And the results of that campaign, they sold like an incremental 15,000 additional liters of Bailey's, and for an average CPM of 15. So they're very happy with that. And that's just kind of an example of a traditional type ad campaign. Another one we had this year was a new shoe called Loki, L-O-C-I. And so they're a new shoe company, kind of higher end, and they really wanted to get as many eyeballs as they could. And so they ran a campaign that we delivered 200 million impressions to them in a relatively short period of time. And we did that with some traditional media, on streaming platforms. But what they were really enthused about is we did it with some viral social media content and influencers that really drove those numbers up. So they were able to get 200 million impressions in a little over a month. So that was kind of an example of how we can really, with product integration, get a reach that you can't necessarily get with just a 30-second ad.
Great examples. Now, we're talking a lot about AI today. How are you using AI to analyze the video content for these potential opportunities?
Yeah, we do essentially 4 things that we use it for. One is understanding the context of the video, very similar to what Ashwin was talking about. We need to understand what they're talking about. It might be a great scene where you could put something front and center and it's going to be visible, but maybe they're talking about abortion and you don't want to be associated with that. So we got to make sure we understand all the contextuality. Or a more benign one would be, it says people sitting at a table. Is it lunch or is it dinner? Because you can't put, there's some things you don't want to put there if it's a breakfast. An alcohol drink doesn't make sense.
Right.
Or sausage brand doesn't make sense at dinner, that type
Sure.
of thing. So we get that contextuality. And then there's the traditional trust and safety. We make sure we know where all the possible inappropriate content is. And then we got to find where the placement is going to go. So we have models that will scan and identify locations where we can put something on a table, a desk, those types of settings. A driveway that's blank, you can put a car in. The car is like the largest thing that we've inserted. And then also just posters and billboards. Where are there big buildings, sides of buildings in the background that you could put a digitally inserted billboard, or we can create billboards on the side of streets like you would normally see driving down a road, but in this case they're virtually inserted. And then kind of the last use case that we do from an AI perspective is we grab all the technical data about the shot. Where's the camera movements, where's the lighting changes and all this stuff, because our machines further down the road in the automation will need all that information to automatically insert the virtual object into the scene. So that's kind of like the 4 different areas that we do it.
Well, how about as it relates to AI-driven programmatic ad buying,
Yep.
and within the automated process?
Yeah, so that's as far as programmatic and being fully connected with the DSP, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
That will get there in 2025, but we'll have our first iteration of programmatic running internally here by the end of the year. But what we do have in terms of automation is we can do the insertion in an automated way for the 2D objects, which is what most advertisers want. 2D meaning they want the pop can reskinned so it says Pepsi instead of Coke, or they want the wall in the background to say my brand and message. So that stuff we can do in an automated way where you just give us the creative and it gets uploaded and it can be out the door in a matter of minutes, seconds really. Takes us longer to probably close and save the files than it does for the machine to do the insertion. When it comes to 3D objects like a car or a large TV or something like that, the tech in the industry is not there yet to fully do that without humans. So the machines assist us, but we still have a human that has to be involved in those processes.
So what's making the process scalable, and how is that benefiting brands who are looking
Yeah.
to amplify that reach?
It's the reason this is being done now versus 20 years ago is it's all about the ability to parse large amounts of data in terms of contextuality and what's happening in the scenes and all of that, and create a recommendation of this is a location for an object, these types of categories would fit, and here's the contextualities that we can then match to a brand brief. And at the same time, it's also the ability of GPUs to do a lot of video processing and augmentation that allows us to do the insertion and in near real time. And because there's a lot of processing that happens here. It's like you would be realized how if I were to virtually insert this and you didn't see this shadow here, your eye would notice it. You wouldn't notice what the problem is, but you would know that's not right.
It's off, yeah.
Something's off. And so we have to get the shadowing correctly, the gradations, and all these other things. And doing that in a matter of seconds takes a lot of computing power. So just the changes in the industry have finally caught up to where we can do these things.
It's all those little things you don't think about, those
Yeah.
nuanced differences. How about, and you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but examples of how AI is unlocking solutions for brand integration that wasn't possible before?
Yeah, everybody's doing contextuality today, right? You're doing it in terms of mid-roll and pre-roll ads where you want to make sure that I'm putting an ad there that is in content that is related to what I'm trying to achieve. Now you can do it in scene. So I think a good comparison would be think about your web page. You go to any web page and you hit load. Immediately, there's the article of what you're going to read or whatever, but then everything else is being painted in real time, right? Because they know who you are, what you like. They're putting this ad here. They're putting this there. That you're going to be able to do that now with video content. Once somebody hits play, you'll see who they are, what they like. Then we can paint the background of that video. And you can really get contextualization in terms of your brand, how it's being associated, who it's being associated with directly, how it's being used. So those are things that I think are really exciting about what we can do for advertisers and brands that want to get an even more relevant connection with an audience.
And how about AI as it relates to just more precise targeting, and optimizing advertising in real time?
Yeah, so the targeting is another thing. It requires us to do integrations with the playback stack, but we've done it in testing. And another thing that we're rolling out is now you can target at a user level. And the example we've done is you can hit play and bring up a show in your living room. Your wife could be watching the exact same show upstairs in the family room. But when I watch it, it'll be Pepsi. When she watches it, it's Coke. So you can get to that level of targeting at the user level, at the device level. And so this really provides that hyper-contextualization that we're all trying to get to in the industry.
So we spoke about the placement opportunities for brands, but what about those advertising opportunities as a direct result of the AI that you've been leveraging?
Yeah, I mean, one way to look at that is that you'll be able to put your brand and your message into the scene, and that varies depending on how it's shot, meaning that it could be something that's front and center, it could be something that's in the background. But when you take those things and combine them maybe with a mid-roll, so that you have the product that's sitting here and it's visible and everybody's seeing it being used, and then you have your mid-roll that comes in and says that, hey, that item's on sale today. Right. You can really use the combination of the traditional and the new tech that we're providing to create entirely new campaigns and mappings of how you want your products to be perceived and bought.
I want to close out kind of the same way I did with the previous interview. We're up here 1 year from now. What are the trends that you're paying attention to today that you're really excited about, that you think 1 year from today on the stage we get in our time machine? What are we speaking about?
Yeah, it's a combination of a couple of things. The contextuality, I think that's what both of us are saying about it, is getting better and better. And it's not just because of the cookies going away. It's just the fact that the machines can parse so much data now. And really build a model of what people like, really build that persona. Mm-hmm. So that is going to continue. From a technical perspective, the GPUs and the amount of processing that continues to come out is an amazing thing, because that allows us to do so much more. It could be, probably not a year from now, but sometime in the next decade, you'll be able to make decisions about how you want your brand to appear in a scene before it even leaves the script, right? You'll be able to do this in a very generative way. So there's a lot of excitement in where this goes, and I'm excited to be part of it, because there's a lot of concern about jobs and stuff going away, but I look at there's going to be a whole lot of jobs created by doing this, and a whole lot of great experiences we can create through this technology.
Couldn't agree more. It's really exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you again. Steve Cox, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
I'll just close by saying one more thing. My team has a panel like 4:30 here.
Okay.
I'll call it out because there's free beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a beer brand that's one of our advertisers.
Check it out. It's a beer brand. Come on. I appreciate you all. We've got more great content today, a ton of great content tomorrow. So thank you for joining us. Everyone watching online, we see you there too. Thank you so much. Have a great one, everyone. Thank you.